lovely people. Welcome to another edition of Heart to Heart. My name is Elmira. On this show, we always share stories of breakthrough with leaders all across the world. Today is all about your personal playbook. We have former WNBA star Sylvia Crawley Spann on today. She will be discussing her book, the Confidence Playbook, how to build confidence. And I will say this for you. The way hey, Jonathan, the way I've learned to build more confidence is just by being myself. I remember years ago, I'm a singer, is one of the things I do, one of my many talents. I used to always want to duplicate and be like everybody else, every other singer. Whitney Houston, Mariah Carey. It was not until I found my authentic voice that I built the confidence. I'm curious to hear what Sylvia has to say about this and other things. Y'all are in for a treat for sure. Y'all are definitely in for a treat. You are in for a treat today. But like within, it cannot come without. Like I had to be confident to cut off my locks the other week because it was time for them to go. And those are things we have to be proficient in and not just looking for ways to see other people or whatever everybody else thinks about you, all of that stuff. It really doesn't matter. You have to be confident within yourself. What do you want to wear? What do you want to look like? What is it you want to do? Do you want to write a book? Do you want to do this? Let me see. She was messaging me. I'm going to check this message because I'm not sure if she saw that I'm live. I'm live. Sent you the request. It's so pretty here today, y'all, in Georgia. It's amazing. I plan to go for a walk again because I made a commitment. I went for a walk yesterday, and then I'm going to do another one today. I'm going to do another one Thursday, no, Friday too, because that's something that's important to me. I gotta get my walks in. Definitely gotta get outside. I was actually outside earlier today looking at the sun. I was doing some sun gazing. I don't know if y'all do that, but as the sun was rising, I was just sitting there peering into the sun. And the beautiful thing, as I sat out there on the balcony, it wasn't that cold. It was not cold today at all. I thought it was going to be a little chilly, but it was not. It was actually cool. Yes, Sylvia, you can actually, I sent you a request, but sometimes you may not see them if you're not in the broadcast. See if you can send me a request to join the live because I sent you one, but you weren't actually in here. You'll have to see if you can send me a request because for some reason you can't see it. I'm going to see if I can cancel that one. Do, 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 do. I'm going to send you another request. And also, like I mentioned, see if you can submit a request because a lot of times with Instagram, when you first log on, it says request to join this live. You should be able to. There you go. I see you. I see you. I see you. It's coming through. Just like the sun coming through this window today, y'all. There you are. Hi,
Thank you.
Sylvia.
I didn't
Welcome.
realize that you can't join live from your computer. You have to do
Oh,
it
no.
on your phone.
Oh,
I
yeah.
knew.
Yeah, you have to do it on it. It's okay. Yeah, they make you do it on your phone.
Oh, okay. I tried to get better lighting and everything with my computer, but okay, we'll do it by phone.
Yeah, you look great. You look wonderful. How you feeling
I'm
today?
feeling better. I've been under the weather, but I tested negative for COVID, negative for the flu and pneumonia. So I just had a cold and couldn't kick my cough. I had a cough for like a week and a half, so
What?
yeah, we had some really good weather here. It was like 70 degrees, and then everybody ran outside without their jackets on, and then it got cold. So we just had, some schizophrenic weather, and everybody got sick, and I was one of them. So, but I feel good today. I was out yesterday for the first time. I was like, I'm outside.
Yes, I know you get excited about the little things like I'm finally out of the house. My cough is breaking. All of these symptoms are loosening up. They were leaving.
Yeah, and I live with my parents. I'm the caretaker of two octogenarians, and so I try not to get them sick. They're 83 and 82 years old.
Wow.
Yeah,
What did you, because I know today's talk is about confidence, and you have a wonderful book that you've been sharing all over the world, the Confidence Playbook. Yeah, see, y'all, there it goes. Y'all need to get your book.
yeah.
It's on Amazon, it's everywhere. I got a question since you mentioned your parents. Did you learn anything about confidence from your parents growing up?
Absolutely, absolutely. So I had a very healthy balance from my parents. They've been together for 62 years. They've been married. And so I really got to see what true love is up front and personal, the good and the bad, ups and downs. They didn't hide anything from us. They didn't hide their affection from us. Like they were like, you need to see what love looks like. But but my parents are polar opposites. So my mom is optimistic slash idealist even. Like she wrote one time, my dad was like, you gotta come get your mother. I'm like, what'd she do this time? He's like, she wrote a check out of our checkbook for $1 million. And she said, I did it by faith. I just wanted to see what it felt like to write all them zeros on a check. I didn't cash the check. I just wanted to see because I'm going to be a millionaire one day. And my dad was like, she done lost her mind. We ain't got $1 million in her. And my dad is a realist slash pessimist. I'm talking, he's on the cusp. And some days he lives in the pessimist realm. And so I had a healthy balance where my dad was like, are you trying out for cheerleading? This is what I was like in the seventh grade, sixth grade, seventh grade. He said, are you still trying out for cheerleading? He said, baby, you're 6'2". And the rest of the kids are like this tall. They're not going to pick you. You're too tall to be a cheerleader. And my mom was like,
Yes.
don't tell her that. You could be whatever you want to be. You want to cheer? Do you try out for cheerleading? It don't matter how tall she is. And so I got cut that year from cheerleading. And I was devastated because my dad had planted that seed in my mind that they weren't going to pick me because I was too tall.
Mm-hmm.
Now, mind you, I took acrobats. I started dancing school at the age of 2. So I took tap, ballet, jazz, and acrobats. Acrobats is gymnastics without the mats. So you hit your head on the floor, they just rubbed your head and made you flip again so you wouldn't
That's
have fear.
all they do.
Yeah,
Oh
they
my goodness.
rubbed your hands like you're all right and made you do it immediately so you have no fear, right? So I could do no hand cartwheels all the way down my street, and I lived on a brick road. Walked on my hands. I could do splits, toe jumps, all kind of stuff. And I was the only one on my cheerleading squad who could, and I got cut. So I felt like I have been discriminated against because of my height. So my mom was like, well, I'm sure you're good at something else, baby. So just keep trying different. So I tried out for basketball, volleyball, track. I was just trying to find my niche, like what
Yeah.
am I good at? And so I grew up with that, with my mom saying, you could be anything you want to be. Like so much so when I was like very little, I'm the youngest of 3. So my sister's 10 years older than me. My brother's 8 years older than me. My dad asked us all what we wanted to be when we grew up. And my brother was like, I want to be a lawyer. And my sister's like, I want to be an electrical engineer. And I was like, I'm 10 years younger than my sister. So I'm like 5 or 6. And I was like, I want to be a superstar. And my dad was like, we're not sending you to college to be a superstar. What subject do you want to study? I was like, I don't know, whatever subject superstars study. And my mom picked me up and
Right.
she picked me up and carried me out of the room. It was like, leave her alone. She could be a superstar if she wants to. Baby, you want to be a superstar? So I grew up like, with a mother telling me you could be anything you want to be. I don't care what it is. If that's what you want to be, we're going to support you. We're going to find you some tutoring or some private lessons. And you're going to be if it's a street sweeper, you're going to be the best street sweeper in the United States. So, my mom just believed, to this day, she's 82. She believes she could do everything. And we're like, Mom, you cannot do that at your age. She's like, don't you tell me when I can, so that's, and then they raised us up in the church. Even before my parents went to church, they would drop us off with our offering and their tithes. They didn't go to church, but they were tithe payers. And
Wow.
so every Sunday. And so one Sunday, I built up enough courage to say, how come y'all don't come to church and put your own tithes in the offering plate?
What
And
was that response?
my mom was like, well, we're not going to church right now, but we do understand where our blessings come from. Everything we have comes from God.
Mm.
And so anything that you and your dad and I make, we give 10% to the church. And so and if we did chores and we made some money, we were taught to give 10% of that and give that in church when you get there. So I was raised, in the church, understanding what the word says about who I am. I was very clear as a very young girl what my identity was and who I am in Christ, that I am the apple of God's eye. I am the righteousness of God. I am a joint heir with him. I'm the head and not the tail. I'm an ambassador of Christ. I am created in his image and likeness. I am fearfully and wonderfully made. So I was super, super confident as a kid to be so big, right? I was the tallest in my class and I went to school early at 4. So by, fifth, sixth grade, I was taller than the teachers. And there might have been one boy in my class. His name was Chucky Hythen, and our fathers were friends. We were the same height for a long time. And so we were always at the back of the line going to recess. Picture day, we had to get in the back row,
Yeah,
Chucky and I.
gotta put the tall people back there.
People in the back. So, but to be so tall, I was super confident, just super confident because of my parents. They put me in a lot of activities where my height would be seen as a positive, like dancing school. I was in modeling at age 5, and I started basketball in the 7th grade and volleyball. And so the taller you were celebrated for that. And so had I not done those things, I may have been very insecure about my height and not liking being tall, And then the fact that my faith was so grounded, like I knew it was more than me just being confident in myself. I had confidence that I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. So I was very confident in the God who lives in me. And it's a fine line between confidence and cockiness, And so you kind of
True.
got to understand the source of where your confidence comes from.
So I want to touch on that, what you just said about confidence versus cockiness, because you clearly excelled at a lot of stuff. You also had some things that seemed as a deterrent. How did you prevent yourself from being cocky about your talents and abilities? And yes, you had your mom, you had your dad, you had both of them influence. How did you not be cocky about, oh, I know I'm it. I'm it.
Well, like I said, I had a good balance with my parents. So my dad was a realist, right? And so one time I was playing basketball, and my background is in basketball. So I'm a former WNBA player and coach. I'm a former player and coach from the University of North Carolina. And so just growing up in sports, there were times where my coach didn't want to start me anymore. I wasn't producing, and she, I just didn't start. I would be devastated over starting. Like, that was just a huge thing. Or if I missed my free throws, I'm super hard on myself. And really what it was I had a coach's mentality as a player. So I literally was coaching myself, and I was already hard on myself. So then when my coach yelled at me, it was like double critique, right?
I
And
can
so,
imagine. Yeah.
so I would go home and be like, my coach not starting me, da, da, da. And my mom, who's super positive, right? She's quick to like be on my side and say like, well, I don't know why they not playing you, because you're the best one on the team. You know what I mean? And my dad was like, you don't practice. I wouldn't play you either. When was the last time you wouldn't practice your free throws? If I was in a band, they wouldn't give me a solo. I wanted to play a solo at the football game. My dad was like, you don't practice that. You don't
Uh-oh.
practice that clarinet.
Oh, he called you out.
So my dad was always there to tell me the truth, you know what I mean? And keep me very humble and very grounded. So I didn't think that I was entitled to playing just because I'm tall, or entitled to getting a solo because I wanted one. Like, what have you done to prove that you deserve a solo? You better get out there and practice like that. You know what I mean? So you got your mom who's like giving you like just love and nurturing, but my dad, and I'm a daddy's girl. So my dad was like, listen, you don't practice. How you expect to be good if you don't practice? I wouldn't play you either, and I'm your dad. It's like, so I had a dose of reality. And as I grew older and I started to play in the WNBA, and I talk about this a lot, because to play professionally, you are like the elite in our country and most times in the world, right?
Oh, yeah.
And so in order to play on that level consistently, like I I couldn't take a break. Like, I played against Lisa Leslie, and there was no break after that, because then the next team I'm playing against Tina Thompson. I'm playing against Delisha Milton. I'm playing all of the centers that I had to guard were all Olympians. And now these games are televised. So you have one bad game, the world sees it. The world sees you fail publicly. You know what I mean? So in order to compete against the best in the world, your confidence level has to be sky high. You know what I mean? Like, if you think about Kobe Bryant and LeBron, like, their confidence is super high. Steph Curry. And there's a fine line between, and a lot of people think that athletes are cocky. Like Deion Sanders, people can't stand him because they feel like he's cocky. But
I like him.
I love him. He has a very high level of confidence, and he's not going to let you break him or your insecurities, make him feel like he shouldn't behave the way he behaves, right? But there has to be a certain level of confidence that you have to have in yourself in order to compete consistently. Now, there's some people that compete on a high level, and then they're here, and then they're here, and then they're here. But to be consistent, you have to have that. And for me, I could just speak personally. For me, I had to understand that on my own, I'm trash. I am pure trash, But with God, I can do everything except fail. All I do is win, right? And so one of the chapters in my book is called Learn from Losses. Sometimes you win and sometimes you learn. A lot of people say sometimes you win, sometimes you lose. No, because if you learn from losses, it's never a loss. If you can learn from those mistakes, from those losses, from those failures, what people perceive as failures, then it's not a roadblock, it's a stepping stone to success. And once you view it, once you get that mindset, you never lose. All you do is win. This is why Steph Curry can miss 10 shots in a row, and then the game-winning shot, he will shoot that ball with confidence as if he didn't miss the last 10. Why? Because he understands how to learn from losses. If he misses it, then he's going to go watch film and see what that team did to stop him, or see what he did to stop himself. He's going to go in the gym and practice it over and over and over again, so that the next time that situation comes up, guess what? He's going to make it. So he has no fear of failure, because he knows, like, if I make it, we win. If I miss it, I'm just going to study, learn from it, and then eventually we're going to win. You
Mm.
know, so there's a lot that goes into like confidence and the dynamics of it, but you kind of got to understand where the source is coming from. If you only depend on yourself for confidence, you are human. You will have pneumonia someday. You will get sick someday. You'll injure, your hand or your
Oh,
leg.
yes.
You're
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? But if you rely on something that is greater than you, and for me, that's God. That's how Michael Jordan could have a flu game, and that was one of his best games of all time. People still talk about it, the flu game. He had the flu and had one of his best nights ever because he's not just relying on his own capabilities. He was sick. He was dehydrated. He had his whole body. When you have the flu, your whole body is sore. Imagine playing basketball at a very high level with the flu. He had to have been dependent on a higher power. And so that's kind of what you got to understand when you just rely on you. Like for me, I'm trash on a basketball court. But with God, if God is for me, who could be against me? That's how I stepped on the court. Who could be against me if God is for me? Who? Where they at? Where's the
That's right.
competition? Who's going to compete with God? So, so yeah, that, and I don't get that deep in the book. I kind of just talk about learn from losses, and I have you think about, and it's a workbook. So I share, a little bit of my stories, and then I pass the ball to you. And now you've got to
Ooh,
write
I
down
like
your book.
how you said that, like pass the ball.
Oh
Like,
yeah, I bounce pass, I behind the back pass, I overhead pass it to you.
yeah.
But when the ball is in your hands, you've got to write down what are some things that you lost that you can learn from. And what are some things that happened in your life where you didn't make the mark, or you didn't get the promotion, or you didn't get the raise, or you didn't get the house or the loan that you applied for? How can you learn from that? How can you make that a stepping stone for the next time? And so the book helps you make the stories applicable to you. So I don't just tell me stories, I tell we stories. It's applicable for everybody. And so a lot of times I have a lot of speaking engagements because I'm a speaker entrepreneur. And
Right.
so, and so when I go to speak, a lot of people think like this book is not for them. They're like, well, I got a daughter that I don't need the book, but I've got a daughter who she plays basketball and she really needs the book. And I'm like, no, 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 this book is for everybody. So I start my speeches out by saying, if you've ever been nervous before an interview, raise your hand.
Me.
I said, if you have ever been nervous before taking an exam, SAT, ACT, or even a work exam, raise your hand. If you've ever been afraid or nervous or butterflies in your stomach before speaking in front of large crowds, raise your hand.
It could be a small one.
Just those three questions right there, I have touched everybody in the room. If you've ever played a sport and been nervous before the game started, raise your hand, right? So everybody needs this book. Everybody has not felt confident at one point in time or another. And so I've had many, many, many encounters where I did not feel confident and I had to overcome that. And I put it together and I packed it really small. It's a very easy read. It's not a lot of pages. We are like an ADD society now because of cell phones and all the gadgets that we have. So people don't want to read long books anymore, unless you're like an avid reader. But this is very short. It's an easy read. You can get through it quickly. And it's a workbook so that you can do your work, so that you can perform and you can just be more confident as a leader in your own respective field.
Yeah, that's I want to speak about something you said cuz it's this perception or misconception that I may not need to build my confidence or and I feel that's we were talking about the difference between confidence and cockiness. To me, that's operating in cockiness or ego saying, I don't have room to grow, or I can't learn from my losses, to use the chapter from the book. Give me your take on that. Like sometimes people may assume or think I I've never dealt with my confidence, so I'm good enough. Like you can't show me nothing. Like I can't be taught anything.
Yeah, I think when you get to the point where you don't feel like you can learn anymore, you're done. You know what I
Mm.
mean? Like, because we are always learning and growing and evolving as humans, right? So I'm always, even though I consider myself a strong leader, I still love leadership books. Like, I'm always hungry to learn more about how to be a better leader, even though I feel like I'm a really good leader, but there's always room for growth, you know? So if you feel like, I got that confidence thing down pat, you know, and you never get nervous. Like there's some people before their events, they can't eat, they don't sleep. You know what I mean? It's like they're just nervous before their event starts, whether that's a birthday party that they plan or a wedding or whatever, you know what I mean? Like those are areas where you can use a little more confidence. And so what I start the book by saying is that confidence is not a feeling, it's a skill. And so
Okay.
yeah, a lot of people feel like if they have butterflies in their stomach, or if they're nauseous, or if they got the bubble guts and going to the bathroom, however it manifests itself for you, they feel like they're not confident, they're not ready, and they're not prepared. But those are just feelings. And a lot of it is adrenaline. And so adrenaline actually can work in our favor when we learn how to use it correctly. So when you feel those little butterflies in your stomach, that's adrenaline. And if you have good self-talk, and good visualization and positive thinking, that adrenaline will channel in the right direction. And it could take you to be in a zone where you've never done it better than that before, right? But that same adrenaline, if you're thinking like, oh my goodness, what if I mess up? What if I do this? And you're thinking negative thoughts and you're having bad visualization, like you're seeing yourself, you're supposed to be walking down a runway and you see yourself falling and, you know, you
Oh
will
no.
you will tank out and head in the opposite direction. So it's our job to take those feelings and put it in its proper place and use it to take us to the next level. And so confidence is not a feeling, it's a skill. And like any skill, it can be learned, practiced, and perfected over time. Now, there's no such thing as like perfect. So there's always room for growth, right? You can always get better in this area. But I love talking about confidence because it's such a, for some people it's so abstract because they think it's a feeling, but it's not. It's a skill.
Hmm. I like how you said that because I never heard that. And it's great you open up the book that way by describing it as a skill, like sales skills, or marketing skills, or communication skills, all of these wonderful things. It's like it's an actual skill, not a
Mhm.
feeling.
And even the people who are at the top of their field in a certain skill, like a Tiger Woods or Serena Williams or Steph Curry, they still have room to grow. They don't feel
Hmm.
like they can't learn anything else because the game is always changing. The fields are always changing. Now there's AI. So whatever your profession is, you got to figure out how to incorporate AI in it. Like there's always room for growth. And confidence is the same way. Like there's always room to be a more confident speaker, be a more confident communicator, or whatever the case may be.
Because what you just revealed too, Sylvia, is confidence plays in every area of our life. It's not just because people would assume listening to you, oh, I don't play a sport or I never was an athlete, so this doesn't apply to me. No, no, boo. This is if you're a mother, if you do something at your job, if you spoke of church, you lead at your church, you do whatever it is, you have to express and own your confidence in that position, and you can work on it, you can build it. And that's what I love. It's like I'm always talking about muscles. I'm a massage therapist, so like you can build those muscles, you can train it.
Hmm. Yeah. So the first chapter in the book talks about playing to your strengths, right?
Mm-hmm.
So everybody has strengths and weaknesses, and we tend to focus on our weaknesses first to feel like before we feel like we can do anything. And really what we need to do is focus on your strengths. What do you do well? Because it puts you in a positive space, right? If you think about, I often ask little kids like, how was school today? What's your favorite subject in school? Because I want to hear what they say. And a lot of them will say gym. And I'm like, no, other than gym, like math, English, science, like what's your favorite subject other than gym, right? And so if they say math, 9 times out of 10, that's their strength. They're good at math. So they love math class. They're going to raise their hand for every question. I go, what's your least favorite class? A lot of them say science, right? Social studies and stuff like that. Well, you probably don't make as good grades in those classes. And that's why that's not your favorite, right? So like play to what are your strengths? For high school students, I often say, when you're looking to pick a major, look at the subjects that you're good at, because that's what you're interested in. 9 times out of 10, you know what I mean? You like it, you're doing well at it for a reason. You're wired for math, or you're wired for drama, or you're wired for reading or literature, whatever it is. And so, so when you start to play to your strengths, while you're working on your weaknesses, I'm not saying don't work on it. You're working on your weaknesses, but don't focus on that. Focus on your strengths. So I talk about in my speeches often, in my collegiate career, I focused more on my weaknesses. During my college days of my basketball career, I was focusing on my weaknesses. Our team, first day of practice, our coach said, we are only going to be as strong as our weakest player. And Sylvia, we need you to get stronger. I was like, oh, am I the weak link? You know? But on paper, I was the weakest player on our team. When we maxed out, we had to do bench press. I bench pressed the least. We had to do leg press. I leg pressed the least. We had to do pull-ups. I could barely do one pull-up, right? So on paper, I was the weakest person on our team. And so she took me to our strength coach and she said, I need you to put 25 pounds on her because we got to get her stronger. This is the ACC. She's going to play against centers that are twice her size.
Right.
And so that's what my trainer tried to do. So it made me feel weak. It made me feel like I wasn't strong. I was playing like I wasn't strong because I wasn't strong, you know? And so finally, my strength coach took me back to my coach and was like, Coach, we've seen a lot of different metabolisms, but we've never seen one like this. We get football players in all the time. They come in little and they leave here ready for the NFL. But we have never seen a metabolism as fast as her. She's just genetically thin. And so my coach said, well, can you just make her bones stronger, make her mean or something, make her play tough? And so that's what they just started trying to make me have an aggressive mentality, right? Because just physically, until I like bulked up and got more meat on my bones, I just was not going to get too much stronger. That just was my reality. And so I started to think stronger. They were like, sharpen up those elbows. Don't lotion them. You don't put lotion on them. You know, hit your elbows. Hit people before they hit you. So I just had an aggressive mentality on the court. And I thought that I was strong, even when I wasn't. You know what I mean? So it made me play with more confidence when I started to think stronger instead of focusing on, I got to gain 25 pounds and it's not happening, right? In the pros, I focused more on my strengths than my weaknesses. And it wasn't until I trained with a trainer, his name was Al Vermeil, and he was the trainer of the Chicago Bulls. And so they had Nike in at his facility that day, and they were testing people. So they wanted to test, he told them that I could slam dunk, and they were excited about testing my vertical jump. They had some new shoes called Air Shocks at the time. I'm dating myself. But they had me do this vertical testing. There was like some pegs above me. And they said, all right, without no step, just swing your arms back and jump up as high as you can and hit the highest peg that you can.
Right.
Without shoes. So I did it. And then they said, all right, now put the shoes on and do it. I did it. And then they said, all right, I want you to take one step back and just take one step and jump up. So I did it with a step. And then they said, all right, we want you to move all the way back, get a running start, and then hit the peg. So I did all three of those barefoot, and then I did those with the new shoes that Nike was testing. And then they tested my lateral movement. They tested a lot of different things. They measured my wingspan. I have a 6'9" wingspan. So they called me in the office and they said, we've got some interesting things that we've gathered, information that we gathered. They said, when we told you to just jump straight up off of vertical, they said, you were okay. They said, when we told you to take a step, they said it was pretty impressive. But when we gave you a running start, like when you ran the jump, they said it was higher than Nike has ever tested for any women in athletics.
Are you serious?
And so they said in their study that they had done so far. So they said, let me ask you this. What position did you play in college? I said, I played the center position. They said, so they always kept you around the basket? I said, yeah, I was always around the basket. All the plays were designed for me to go, even if I ventured out, the play was designed where I eventually went back in. So if the shot went up, I would be around the basket for a rebound because they were trying to help me be a better rebounder. And they said, well, to put you on a block and just have you muscle against other centers who are stronger than you, that does you a disservice. And for you to jump, you were just okay. But when we gave you a step, it was pretty impressive. So if you played in a short corner or at the high post, you would probably be able to beat your man to the basket or jump over them to get rebounds. But if you played at the 3-point line and got a running start, there's nobody in the U.S. that should be able to get a rebound over you. And so in the pros, I play as a power forward. Nobody had ever thought to play me at the power forward because I lacked power. I wasn't strong, remember? But the power forward.
You had it up here. I mean,
the power forward doesn't necessarily play with power, right?
Yeah.
The power forward is not on the block. There's somebody who can handle the ball a little bit better and maybe shoot threes and face up and space the floor. But I transitioned to the power forward and it changed my game. I was now operating in my strengths. And so when I have some pictures of me going up for a rebound and I'm over the rim by myself.
What?
So the moral of the story is when you play to your strengths, there's no competition when you're in your lane. There's nobody going to get the rebound with me when I'm over the rim. Maybe Lisa Leslie, but who else? Who else was playing over the rim that high? So it's like you have to figure out what your strengths are. Stop focusing on what you don't have. Okay, you don't have the resources to start that business. You don't have the writing skills to write that book. You don't have the credit score to get that house. Stop focusing on what you don't have. What do you have? I had to sit down and say, okay, here's what I have. Okay, I'm not strong, but guess what? I'm quicker than most centers. I could jump higher than most centers. I got a very high basketball IQ. So how can I use those strengths to make me one of the best players in the world? I'm a gold medalist. But had I focused on, oh, I'm not strong, everybody's muscling me out of my position. Now, let me not disrespect my college coaches in any way, because they did an incredible job with me as a college player, right? I played the center position because I was one of the tallest on my teams. That was my role. And in order for my team to win the national championship that we did, I had to play my role, right? But in the pros, it was wide open. Everybody is good in the pros. So that's when I transitioned to the forward position. I was able to play outside and play more to my strengths. And so what are your strengths? In the workbook, I pass the ball to you. What are your strengths? What do you have? Moses just used a staff in his hand. You are already equipped. You're already equipped with whatever you need to be successful at what you're trying to do. So think about it. What do you have? What are your strengths? Play to your strengths. And when you do that, it gives you confidence because you're operating. That's your lane. You're in your field. You're in your niche. That's your jam. That's your secret sauce. So play to your strengths. And that helps to cultivate confidence in whatever you do.
I love that so much because I feel like I'm operating in one of my strengths right now. I'm an excellent listener. And And so people, I talk to people all the time and they're like, I can't get on camera. I don't know how to do this. It comes easy to me. So I'm like, why not do it? And then I love talking to people and hearing their stories and hearing what they have to share with the world. Like you have your book, you speak, you're an author, you have all this dynamic stuff. I feel that's one of my strengths. It literally comes easy to me. Like, so why not use it? Like sometimes we as you're speaking of these strengths and how you utilize that when you played on the professional level, sometimes we see it as, oh, it's too easy. Like it should be harder than that. Why do we think it should be hard? Like, why do we think life should be hard or confidence should be hard or anything? Marriage, we even treat marriage hard too. If we play to our strengths, like, it doesn't have to be that challenging.
Yeah, life is what you make it. Marriage is what you make it. You make it hard, you make it miserable, it'll be miserable. But if you make it fun, it will be fun. Everything is what you make it.
It literally is what you make it. As we close this out, tell everybody where they can find the book, because I know you have the book available. And also let everybody know, because I know you're available for conferences, for all kinds of things to speak. Talk to us about
Yeah, so if
that.
you go to my IG page, which is at Coach Crawley, that I'm on right now, in my profile, there's a Linktree page. And on my Linktree, it tells you how to find me for everything. So it tells you how to get the book. You can click right on it and buy the book. You can click on it and book me to speak. You can click on it for, I have an NFT of the blindfolded dunk that I did. You can get the NFT on there. So, yeah, just go to my Instagram page at Coach Crawley, and all things are right there in my link.
All right. Well, I love this. I love passing the ball. I ain't no basketball star myself. I'm just 5'2". It's so funny because quick little story before we end, like everybody's in my family is short. My brother used to play basketball all the time and he's only 5'5", probably 5'5". I don't know why, and I think it was confidence. Still to this day don't know why he never tried out for the team. He was amazing. Like he looked up to Muggsy Bowles and all the smaller. He was excellent, and he showed me how to just do anything. It's not your height, as you were explaining. As a taller woman, I'm a shorter woman. Sometimes been thinking about, oh, I can't do that because I'm short. But now I've accepted it, and I'm like, I don't care. I don't do anything. It's going to allow me to do anything. Thank you again so much, Sylvia. This has been go ahead.
I just want to leave the listeners with one thought. I think this is the final chapter in my book. Surround yourself with champions. Because if you surround yourself with champions, you'll think like one. And so the same group of young ladies that I won a national championship with are the same women that I'm very intentional about staying in touch with. And so now that we no longer play basketball, we're in all sectors, like my dentist is one of my sisters that I won championship with, we've got a doctor, we've got a housewife, we've got a social worker, we've got a school teacher, we've got 2 head coaches in women's basketball. I mean, they're in every area. And so if I want to launch a business, we have a group text where I can say, hey guys, I'm launching this business. What do you think about this logo? And now I've got like 360-degree feedback from like people in all different sectors who's thinking along the lines of how their life operates, from a doctor's perspective, from a head coach's perspective, from a mother's perspective, So surround yourself with champions and people that celebrate your wins, because that helps build confidence. That helps take you to the next level. And so, my parents used to say this a lot, like, you let me see who you hang around and I'll tell you where you're going to go, but it's so true. Like birds of a feather flock together. And if you're the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room. You're able to feed them, but they're not able to feed back into you. So surround yourself. So who are the champions in your field? Who are the people who have done it and doing it well? Find those people. Surround yourself with those people. Have conversations. Ask some questions. Go to conferences with them. Find out what classes are they taking. You need to be in that class, you know.
Yeah.
But surround yourself with champions, and that would be my final word. But I want to thank you for having me on the show, having me live on IG, and I wish you all the success with your show. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Again, everyone, this has been another edition of Heart to Heart, and I will reiterate just what you said. Surround yourself with champions. Who are you going to be around this week? Who are you talking to this week? Who's feeding into you? Who's celebrating you? Who can you have a heart to heart with? Okay, everybody. See you next time. Bye.